presenters who have already chosen through everything they've done in their life that they love this community, they are part of this community, and this community comes first. And that's what the Labor team is delivering. That's exactly what this Labor team is delivering. With Rochelle, some of you will know that I've worked with Rochelle for some time as well. And, you know, there's a concept that my dad taught me when Dad was often very late home from work, which was just this principle: you don't go home if there's someone still needing help. You just keep going. You finish the job, you deliver for people. The test of your work isn't what's your start time, your finish time, what are the hours you're paid for. The test of your work is how are you delivering for the people who need you. I can't imagine anyone who represents that more than Rochelle Horica. Cannot imagine. So when you get how to vote, think of the word add, A-D, okay? Number 1 in the box A, number 2 in box D. Both above the line, but that's the how to vote, add, A-D. Number 1A, number 2D, both above the line. One of the challenges we'll have, as we always have, is council voting is different to any other form of voting, and people always get it wrong. So I'm going to have 2 requests of you, but they're both the same sort of thing. They're both about making sure that you don't waste a conversation. The Labor vote that happens, this will be the last big vote in New South Wales that happens before we hit the federal election. Whatever happens in this one is going to be part of the momentum that Peter Dutton either has or doesn't have. And all of these things are cumulative. So I want to ask you simply, between now and the council election, do not waste a conversation and talk about 2 things. Have the conversation that I just said, number 1 in box A, number 2 in box D. As long as you get the number 1, it's okay, but we've got to keep to the preference agreement. So number 1 in box A, number 2 in box D. And say that to people. The second thing is have the conversation that you can have that a whole lot of people can't. And that's to say, you know these candidates. You know them, you trust them. If you've had a photo with them today, put it up on your social media and put a post about how well you know and trust these individuals. Remind people how to vote and remind people what's at stake. I've never seen a time when some people have tried so hard to divide our community, and some people are trying so incredibly hard to divide our community. That's the exact moment where we need to get behind the people who are of the community and who unify the community. That's why so many members of Parliament want to be here. That's why so many of you. And I look around the room, this room is full of the exact sort of people I started talking about, people who are already in their own way leaders in their community, leaders among their families, leaders in community organisations. I look around the room and you're everywhere. We want to make sure that someone like that continues to be a leader for this part of Sydney, for this part of the area, and that's Rochelle Horica. The team that Bilal Hayek is bringing across Canterbury Bankstown Council, I have never seen a better team be pulled together. Let's get behind it, let's not waste the conversation, let's win. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Very kind words. And I'd now like to invite Mr. Jason Cleave. Thank you.
Tony, you said to me, can you say something different? Or maybe Rochelle Horica is that good the Liberal Party even refused to stand candidates against her in this ward. Or maybe they just forgot to lodge the form. But the bottom line is we all know just how wonderful Rochelle and the team she leads in this ticket is. Often when we go to election launches, the room is full of people from the Labor Party. This is a room full of people from the Labor Party, but not just that. You know, as I look around here, I see school leaders, I see community doctors, I see leaders of the Chamber of Commerce, I see our community. And when I see everybody that I see in my job here come in to support Rochelle and Chris and Eamon, I know that this is a community team. Yes, we're a Labor Party team in our heart. We always want to help to make sure that we use the positions we have to help the disadvantaged, to build a better, but the key word here is community. You know, when I'm at, say, Bass Hill Shopping Centre or at Bankstown, Tony, it'd be the same in Canterbury. Bilal, you know this too. Jihad, you know this. Linda knows this, and so does Anthony. If you're standing at the shops and you've got your poster out and you invite people to come and talk to you, 9 out of 10 issues that people want to talk to you about are not things that are happening in federal parliament or happening in state parliament. They're what's happening at the end of someone's street. They're what's happening in our local community. And that's what makes local government so important. Sometimes so underappreciated, so underrated, but so critical, so important, because it matters to everybody's life. Whether it's the roundabout, whether it's the pothole, whether it's the garbage truck below that keeps turning up at 4 o'clock in the morning and waking my 2-year-old up. All of these things on their own might seem little, but I'll tell you what, they make our local community what it is. This is our home, and local government and the people that are represented on our council, that work in our local council, help to make our home a better place. And in that sense, they're family. They're part of our extended family. And so are you. Thank you for being part of Rochelle's team, Rochelle's family, for helping to support Rochelle and Chris and hopefully Omen to get elected to council. The Liberal Party are doing their thing by not standing anyone against you. Neither are the Greens, I understand as well. But as Tony points out, we still need people to turn up to vote, to fill in the ballot paper, and to support this incredible team. 3 weeks to go. So get the word out, get the posters out, and let's make sure that Rochelle and her team get re-elected at the local government elections in just under 3 weeks' time. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Jason. And before I give the microphone to Minister Jihadi, can I also acknowledge the former Emerald State Helen Westwood, as well as councillors Linda Downey and David Walsh, and an upcoming, hopefully, would be one of my colleagues soon, Gemma Ashton. Welcome. And before I do, I'd like to thank actually Linda Downey. This is her last term, and I'll thank you for your mentorship. I'll never ever forget when I first got elected and was sitting inside the chambers. I was meant to be sitting right at the end, but you actually moved the names to ensure that I sit right next to you so you can guide me and mentor me, because, you know, this was my first term. So thank you very much, and I'll never forget that mentorship. And now I'll give it to Jihad.
Well, thanks, Michelle. And it's always good to be a speaker after Tony and Jason, because there's not much more to say. And there's not much that I do need to say, but I also want to acknowledge Tony Stewart, former member for Bankstown and also a minister here, and very, very close to supporting I want to add something that I picked up on yesterday as well. It's a bit of a discussion that we've been doing. You know, there's a lot of discussion here. There's federal members of parliament, ministers, there's state members of parliament, there's local councillors, and there's the community. And it's not like that in every other part of the world. It's certainly not like that in other parts of Sydney, where the state government, the local government, and the federal government representatives work so closely together. And why is that important? It's important because that we can actually deliver the things that need to be delivered. In politics, no one really understands the difference between the federal, because everyone who wants a visa comes to my office and I sit in the place. But they don't understand the local, because everyone who wants to complain about a pothole comes to my office, and I've got to give him Bilal's number. If she doesn't answer, let me know. And they don't really understand what state is. But what they know is that people will help. And if we can't help, then somebody else will. If the council can't help, then they'll refer you to the right person. But it's not just saying you need to contact this person. They will actually make it happen. And that only occurs when there's a really good synergy and great teamwork between everyone. And that's what we see here. I 100% agree with Tony. We have got an exceptionally strong set of candidates across the entire local government election. But what I'm looking for is this, the thing that you're looking for. I'm looking for a person's history. What have they done and how well have they served the community over the years? What's their report card tell me? Are they somebody who has spoken up for our community when we needed them to be there? Are they somebody who has said, this is my community, I want to make it better? Are they somebody who has made a decision and been the voice of the community? We know that there are international events right now that are affecting our community in a way like nothing else. There's no one in this room who doesn't understand and feel the pain of what's happening at the moment, particularly in Gaza. And you might want to look to blame somebody. Or rather than look to blame somebody, let's have a look at what these councillors here have done. These councillors were the first council in Australia to basically make a stance and say we're going to raise the Palestinian flag in our two capitals, Bankstown and in Campsie. And they took a lot of criticism for it, but that was a reflection of what the community wanted, and that's what our council delivered. That's when you speak up for your community. And they continued with that, but they didn't take their eye off the main event. And the main event for them is the services. The services that we're seeing. Have a look at our community, the improvement that's happening over time. The improvement in our local main streets. The improvement in our shopping centres. The improvement in terms of the amenities that we have. The new development that's actually going to make a difference and make this more livable. The improvements in our parks. That's what local government does. But they never ever forget the most important thing. And the most important thing is here. It's their heart. And they are a heart of a community. Because they're connected to the community. They speak for the community. And when I look around, I see people who, Labor people or not Labor people, but I see people who are community people. I see people from all of our different faiths. I see people from all of our different cultures. I see people of different ages. And you're all here for one reason. And it's not because of the sausages, it's because, that was a joke. It's actually terrible when I have to say it's a joke.
Oh my God.
But you're here for that one reason. And that one reason alone, because you believe in this team. You believe in Rochelle, you believe in Chris, you believe in Eamon, and you believe in all of our local councillors across all of the wards. And what we need from you is a way of thanking them and a way of acknowledging what they've done is to make sure that every single vote counts. Every single vote is right. People will come up and say to you, oh, what have they done for me lately? I've just given you a whole heap of things. But I know, as well as you do, as well as your neighbours, as well as your colleagues, as well as your friends, whenever we've needed them to stand up, not only did they stand up, they stood up, they stood tall, and they stood proud. Just as I and all of my colleagues here are proud to stand with our local councillors and our local candidates, I ask you to do the same. I want to thank you so much for being here. I want to acknowledge as well John and Jaka for being here. It's a big thing, John, for you to be here. And I acknowledge that. There's a lot of respect for you in the community. Of course, she'll get some money as well. But I need, and we need, and our community needs for these people to be in our council representing us. Make sure it's box A and box D, and make sure we get it right. Let's return them to council and make sure that we've got a majority. Thanks everyone.
Thank you, Jihad. And for those of you that don't know, Jihad's actually the Assistant Minister for Immigration. The amount of visas that come through the door is just like, oh God. But you really do care for the community, so I commend you for that. Next, I would like to invite Ms. Linda Walters to say a few words, and then I'll just get Dr. David Saliba as well, because they share Chester Hill is split into two electorates, so I'll get them to say a few words.
Thank you, Rochelle. If I sound a bit scrambled, I've just got off a 36-hour flight from Nigeria, so
Wow.
I haven't had any sleep. But it's such an important council election for us. I thought it was very important to be here. And the reason for that is I have two councils that I deal with. I deal with Cumberland Council, which is about half my electorate, and Canterbury Bankstown Council. And before the Labor team took back Cumberland Council, I had to deal with a very divisive mayor that was more interested in being destructive than working together. And that delivers no results for the community. The biggest plus that we have here now is the Labor team we have in this ward and the Labor team I have on the other side that allows me as a state member of parliament, along with my federal colleagues, to work together to deliver the infrastructure we need. And when you're talking about the new Bankstown Hospital, the corner of Rookwood Road and the Hume Highway, where federal and state have both put money in together to get solutions, when you're even talking about the new lifts down at Chester Hill Station, where Nugent Park and the lifts and the whole station will be redeveloped hand in hand with state government and the local council, it is having a Labor team that makes a difference. And if we don't get a Labor team, we don't get outcomes. And that was very clear when I dealt with certain people on Cumberland Council. And it has just been a dream to have the Labor people back there to make our jobs workable. So if you can do nothing else, if you can convince people, if you want those hospitals, if you want those roads fixed, if you want that infrastructure in, we need the Labor team re-elected. And we have a fantastic Labor team here. So thank you very much, guys, for all the hard work you have done. Like to acknowledge, because I've known her for so long, Linda Downey. Helen Westwood has done so much work as well, and Linda for a long time delivering on Bankstown Council. But Linda, I think you go back to the 80s. I'm not sure. I won't talk too much. I'm pretty sure you were there when Phil Bolton was on it. The big advantage for me is now no one will confuse me and Linda. Everywhere I go, they keep asking me about local council, and I've worked out, oh, you mean Linda Downey, not Linda Volt. So it's going to be a great loss in one way, but Gemma there, I'm assuming they'll never mix us up when we get elected. So thank you guys, and whatever you can do, every door you knock on, every letterbox you go in, to every hand you shake and give the message to, that will make the difference. If we can get 3 up here, that will absolutely deliver council for us. No one's going to work harder than Naji, but if everyone works at about 10% of what Naji does, we can absolutely deliver that result. So thank you.
Hey to everyone, nice to meet you all. And I must say, like, I'm from the Fairfield side, and coming across, I did come a little bit late, so apologies, but I was just surprised and shocked to see so many people here. Like, this is awesome. This is what the Labor Party is about. This is what good government is about. So firstly, I just want to thank you all for being here, because you as the membership, you as the members of the party and the supporters of these awesome people enable the propelment of positive outcomes for our community. And when you look at Canterbury Bankstown, when particularly the Bass Hill Ward, like, people are not doing it easy, yeah? And it's because of the work that these people are doing that are making it better. They're